CQ Blind Ham. Hello, CQ Blind Ham. CQ Blind Ham from November Echo 5 Victor. CQ Blind Ham. CQ Blind Ham from November Echo 5 Victor.
This is the CQ Blind Hams podcast. For more information, visit www.blindhams.com.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to CQ Blind Hams podcast, where we talk about ham radio from a blindness perspective. Today's host is Joel, VE3ABZ, and we are joined by AJ VE3ABZ, and we are going to talk about network radios.
Good morning, Julian. Good morning, AJ.
Good morning.
Good morning.
AJ seems to be our resident expert in network radios because he's the only one I know that has one. So that's why I asked AJ if he'd like to join us and tell us about his radio. So how did you find out about network radios and be able to use them on the Blind Hams group?
Well, it all started because I was on ZELLO, and ZELLO is another push-to-talk application. So I was chatting with people on ZELLO, and one of the people I was chatting with, his name's Jim, VO1RV from Newfoundland. Very nice guy. And when I chatted with him, he actually had ordered the Anysecu T320, and I liked the sound of it. And initially, a friend of his was going to buy it, because he had bought two. So a friend of his was going to buy it, and a friend of ours was going to buy it, rather. Anyway, he didn't end up doing that, because I guess he just couldn't see the purpose of doing that. So anyway, Jim got a hold of me and asked if I wanted to buy it. I said, okay, I'll buy it. And he even set it up for me and everything, put everything I needed on. So all I had to do is take it out, and him and his wife set it up for me, and then they shipped it right out. Now, unfortunately, not everyone's going to have that luxury. So, he got them off eBay. Where, I don't know, but you can find them on Amazon. They're pretty. I know Jed bought one off Amazon, and they work really well. You'd need eyes to put talk back on it, and but once you do that, you can do everything else.
I was just going to ask if you could maybe give a brief description of the device, what it looks like, what it feels like, that sort of thing, as well as what it is exactly, what operating system, all that stuff, just to give people an overview.
Oh yeah, I've got the page open too with the specs on it. So the device it's like a radio. It's almost like you're holding like a Motorola radio. So on the top, you've got your volume knob. To the left of that is where you put an external antenna. And by the way, this will work. This will outdo a cell phone any day, especially on edge. So if you have, if you're on edge, this will really outdo it. It has a spot for 2 SIM cards. You can put an SD card up to 32 gigabytes in. It has a push-to-talk button, like your regular radio. It's got a keypad on the front. So it doesn't have A, B, C, and D, but it has everything else. Above the keypad to the left, you have your back button. No, let me see. A phone button and a menu button on the left. And to the right of that is your arrows. So you have left, right, up, down, select in the middle. To the right of that, above that, are right across to the right of the arrows. On the top is your back button, and then below that is your power and or lock button. So it's pretty straightforward. Like when you actually look at the thing, you can also map buttons. So for instance, what I've done is you have to install Button Mapper. So what I've done is I've mapped ZELLO, I've mapped TeamSpeak, I've mapped, I've put some apps on here. I've mapped DV Switch. So what happens if I push like the number 2 on my keypad, it'll open up DV Switch. DV Switch is obviously still open, so I don't need to push that. But I put Eloquence on it, and
okay, so
Android 7 on it.
Oh, okay. So basically, for all intents and purposes, this is a phone device that is kind of in the body of a radio.
Yes.
So that's pretty neat. So it's an Android device, so you can install things like TalkBack and even Eloquence. That is awesome. And
I'm guessing from the beginning that it's a phone.
I'm guessing that it doesn't come with TalkBack install or anything like that. You have to sideload all that.
No, and like I was saying on the bridge earlier to a couple of people, like I was saying on the bridge earlier to a couple of people, Google, if it's not a Google native device, their TalkBack isn't normally on it. I'm sure you guys know that. Because I was saying earlier, I've got a Chromecast and TalkBack was built into it, but anything else I've gotten that isn't Google approved or Google this, it doesn't have TalkBack on it. So you have to put TalkBack on it.
And you got to put the Play Store and all that, I assume.
No, the Play Store is on it.
Oh, interesting.
Now, when you get it, though, you need to flash it with a debloated ROM, because the debloated ROM it takes all the crap out that doesn't need to be there. There's a lot of stuff that it takes out. So it makes it run snappier, too. Eloquence runs pretty snappy here. Anyway, and it actually sounds like a real radio. So if I bring up the scanner app. So I've mapped scanner radio as well, and I mapped it to the 4 on the keypad. So I just hit 4 and it launched it. I've also mapped it so that 0 on my keypad will take me to the home screen. If I push it twice, it'll take me to the app switcher, kind of like the iPhone. Now there is no way, I have not found a way to turn TalkBack on and off with a shortcut key. What I'd like to do, is this gonna, there we go. It actually, it sounds like a real radio. As you can hear.
Wow, that does sound clear.
Yeah, that is good.
So is there any way to update the Android to 9, 10, anything like that? Or is it basically the hardware won't allow it?
The debloated ROM, you have to flash it pretty much. I don't think it'll allow it. I think it's just going to run 7. But you know what? The other thing, too, is I don't use ZELLO a whole lot anymore, but when I do, I have an older version of ZELLO on it, because if I put a newest version on it, it bounces around, the screen jumps and everything. It doesn't. And even somebody cited has said that 4.13 or whatever the heck it is works very well with it. Nothing later will work with it. So there are some things. That seems to be the only app that has problems.
So it's safe to say that this is not an out-of-the-box solution. This is something that you're going to have to plan to get a little assistance with if you do not have a working pair of eyes.
Pretty much.
What about Echolink? Have you tried and run Echolink on it?
Echolink runs on it. I've done that, but I use my All-Star node for that. But I did have Echolink on it, and it works well. The PTT works as well. So, that all works. You can set it to, be continuous, or, when you let go, it unkeys. So Echolink has that feature as well.
Is this strictly a cellular or Wi-Fi radio, or does it also do any amateur frequency RF?
No, it's strictly Wi-Fi and cellular. However, there are radios out there, network radios, that do have the amateur radio stuff in it. So they do have modules in them. Some have V and UHF modules. The only thing is they're like $1,000.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like the R Finder, which sounds like one heck of a radio, but it's a little pricey.
Well, Bob just ordered one. K8LR just ordered a radio for $150 with a UHF radio in it. It's 2 watts. It's got a UHF antenna and a PTT on it. He's not got it in yet. I was hoping. It's called an Anysecu. How you say it, Julian? Anysecu,
I think.
That's what you said. Yeah.
It's called a P5. It looks similar to. It's running Android 9. It's unlocked. It's got the PTT. It's got the 4 programmable buttons that you can program. It looks similar to this, maybe a little newer version of the OS, plus you get the UHF analog radio, which would be good for an All-Star node, a UHF All-Star node.
Right. Oh, and also on the side of it, there's a little panel with a flat-headed screw in it. If you take that screw out and take the panel off, there is actually a plug for a Motorola speaker mic.
Oh, wow. Now that is cool. Is that behind the battery?
No, on the side.
On the side.
Yeah. So under the it's a lithium-ion battery, by the way. So standby time is 8 hours. Talk time is 8 hours.
Is it removable?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So you take the cover off, and then there's the battery, and under that there's little spaces. There's one for your SIM cards and your SD card. It's a quad-core processor. It has 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigs of storage by default.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages to running an Android device that's not trying to be slim and compete with an iPhone, is that you get things like removable batteries because they're not so worried about making it slim.
But it's got a headphone jack too.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
It does not have a headphone jack. But, I mean, you could probably use one of those adapters, Motorola adapters. I don't know. That's just my guess. But I don't see
I would imagine so. That's probably
the only other thing is there's a lot of quirks. So if you want to learn about network radios, a good resource is to go to networkradios.gq. Again, that's networkradios.gq. It has the popular ones up there. So it's got your Enrico T320. The other one is, I can't remember the model of it. Oh, the N60, yeah. And yes, is another one. That's the mobile version.
Yes, I saw some mobile versions of the Anysecu also, or however you say it, Anysecu. But it doesn't. It runs Linux. Because I was looking to make sure what version of Android it run, and they're like $190, and it runs Linux. It says Linux operating system.
Oh, a Linux radio.
I wonder if you could put Orca. Wonder if you could put Orca on it and have it talk to you. I was wondering about that.
I don't know. Something you'd have to play with. I love Linux. Linux is I tweet from Linux sometimes. So
wow. So do you only use yours as a Wi-Fi, or do you have a SIM card in there, and have you taken it out about?
Eventually I'm going to do that, but when I get my other SIM card back, if that happens, long story there. But then I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, because I'm not sure that I would want to use something like that as a full-on phone. Especially being that it's that far behind in Android versions.
I know someone that does that, and I would.
Yeah, but nowadays you can add a data plan or an extension to a family plan for not a lot of money. So if you want to have that use of data when you're out and about and not connected to Wi-Fi, that's certainly one way to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, what you could also do is connect it to your hotspot. You could use your
That's true.
Hotspot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, down in the States, we got a company called Mint Mobile, and for $15 a month, you can get, I think it's 4 or 5 gigs of data, and they'll send you a SIM card, and for $15 a month, you have a radio that go anywhere, and, as long as you got connectivity. I think they use the T-Mobile network, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember, Julian?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's T-Mobile they're on.
One of them networks up here is compatible with T-Mobile stuff. I don't know, maybe AT&T. I don't know which one.
It's definitely a cool radio, and if the one that Bob gets is more accessible, if TalkBack comes on it, which I kind of doubt, but we might have an update on network radios in the future.
He's gonna need eyes to put TalkBack. I was talking to him about that. He's gonna need eyes to put it on there.
Yeah, somebody else you'll want to talk to is Steve KTV out of New York. He, I believe, ordered an R-Finder.
Oh, did he? Well, I have to talk to him about that.
So I'm really looking forward to hearing his impressions on that radio.
I'm curious to see how the R-Finder works with all of the V and UHF and stuff. I'm curious to see that.
And we have a guy from Germany that's on the network. He checks in, Christoph. He
I
checks
know
in
who
quite
he
a bit. He's got an R-Finder. I'm not sure K model. I'm not sure what model. It's UHF only. It's one of the first ones. And he had some difficulty with it, and I think he contacted Bob from R-Finder, and Bob helped him work out some issues he was having with it. So definitely they sound like they have some great support. Bob is he sounds like a great guy. I just can't get by the $1,000 price tag for the R-Finder. I'd love to have one, but food's more important right now.
Yeah, food and shelter are kind of necessary. Not to mention energy to cool your place right about now.
Yeah, that's best. Yeah.
Too bad he couldn't do a payment plan, because if you do a payment plan,
he would probably sell quite a few of them. But anyway, any other questions you might have, Julian? I'm thinking about got all mine answered.
No, I mean, I think we pretty much have a pretty good idea of it. Oh, one more thing. In size-wise, how does it compare to a GD77 if you've seen one of those?
I've not seen one, but...
Oh, okay.
They're probably about the size of, like I say, your Motorola radio or your.
Okay, so they are a bit hefty.
Well, but it's built like it feels like it's built like a tank. Like if you hold on to it, the audio is good on it too. The speaker is on the back.
Oh, interesting.
The belt clip is
just like an older Android device.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it does have dual cameras as well. I forgot about that. It's got a front and back camera. They work.
Oh, interesting.
32 gig card. Now, what happens? You've been around networks a lot, Jay, and Julian too. It says 32 up to 32 gig. What if you put a 64 gig card in there?
I don't think it would take.
Wouldn't work at all.
It really depends, because I've used devices that say they'll take up to, but then if you get a properly formatted card, you can make it bigger. For example, I still have an old BookSense, and I think what it said the maximum that it took or supported was 32 gig, and I currently have a 128 gig card in my BookSense. But the difference is I did have to format it, because when you buy cards that large, they come formatted in exFAT. So you just get a little utility that converts, reformats it to FAT32, and you're good to go.
Yeah. There's a utility that I use. I forget the name of it. It's a formatter. Then when I get an SD card, then I want to put in a hotspot or an all-star note or something. I always format it to FAT32, and it works good. Then we use one 32 disk imager to put the image on.
Mm-hmm. So, mileage may vary unless they've specifically put a limit in the operating system that says do not work with anything larger no matter what, then you might be out of luck. But generally speaking, whenever I've seen that limitation, you can put something bigger. It just means that they will not officially support it. So don't call them up and say my 64 gig card won't work, because they're going to say, we didn't tell you that you could put one in there.
Right.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming on with us, AJ, and letting everybody know about the Anysecu T320. Yeah, I've looked at Amazon right now. I don't know if it's because of the chip shortage, but they're selling for around $197. I think you got yours a little less, but Amazon may be a little higher price for the T320. You can get the T310 for around $138. Now, I don't know the difference in the 310 and the 320. Probably older Android version. Is that what you think?
I've not. The 310 probably. Yeah, it's probably old.
But anyway, I'll put a link to the Amazon version in the show notes, and AJ will send me that link he said about network radios, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Networkradio.gq. You can put that in there.
Oh, networkradio.gq. Okay.
Radios with an S.
Oh, okay. Radio. All right. Well, appreciate it, AJ, and we'll say 7-3, guys.
7-3.
7-3, ZELLO.
That's a wrap, Angelo.